I'm here. I'm back. Sorry.
No worries.
We waited
Got
for you.
sidetracked. There was food in the kitchen.
All right. Notice, welcome everyone. Notice is hereby given that due to the novel coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic and recent executive orders issued by the governor of the Town of Islip Zoning Board of Appeals, hearing scheduled for Tuesday, November 10th, 2020 at 6 p.m. will be held electronically via Zoom webinar instead of an in-person public hearing. It will be streamed live over the internet. Dated 10/30/2020, John M. Lorenzo, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, our first application tonight is number 634-20. Ramon Jamie Gonzalez and Victoria Colon Gonzalez. Permission to leave on an awning 11 feet by 23.3 feet, having a side yard of 2.8 feet instead of the required 14 feet. To leave patio having a side yard of 1.5 feet and driveway having a side yard of 2 feet instead of required 4 feet each. Residence A District, north side of Haywood Street, number 43. 220.12 feet east of Parr Lane North, Brentwood, New York. Is anyone here for the applicant?
Good evening.
Evening, Roxanne. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Name and address for the record, please.
Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting with offices at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York.
Great.
And I actually wanted to request an adjournment on this case.
All right. You want an open adjournment or you want to, do we have a first open date, Mary?
I think we need a call revised, right, Roxanne? The
We're going to be adding something to the call.
And zoning is a little less than predictable these days due to some absences, so we might want to leave that open.
All right. I'll make a motion to adjourn the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application adjourned.
Thank you.
All right. Next application was adjourned from October 13th, 2020. Jose D. Fernandez and Estela Diaz. Permission to leave second story addition 10 feet by 12 feet, having a rear yard of 17.5 feet instead of the required 25 feet. Shed having 19 feet behind the front line of the dwelling instead of the required 20 feet. A patio having a rear yard of 0.1 feet instead of the required 4 feet, and a rear yard occupancy of 48.6% instead of the permitted 30%. Driveway on side property line not having required setback of 4 feet, and primary front yard occupancy of 56.7% proportionate instead of the permitted 35%. Residence A District, northeast corner of Prospect Street, number 4, and Woodland Avenue, Central Islip, New York. Ms. Trella, are you here for the applicant?
I am.
Good evening.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting with offices at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York. We were previously before the board on October 13th. And everything was pretty much settled on. The reason that we had adjourned it was because of the wording proportionate as it relates to the front yard occupancy. And what we wanted was a recalculation of it. And I did work with Deirdre today, and what we came up with was if they did not add the primary front yard and the second front yard together, the actual percentage would be 31.5.
So I think we've seen them before too, right, Mary, that we, with situations like this, we don't lay them together and it's
Yes,
technically a less of a-
yeah. If you look at that site plan, you can see, we heard one of these in West Islip on a corner lot a couple of weeks ago. They have a very ample amount of front yard landscaping north of the house.
Right.
So I think the board saw it as equitable to allow a little more of an overage on it's the second front yard we're talking about, right, Roxanne, the proportionate?
Yes.
Okay. So you could see north of the house, there's quite a lot of, the entire Prospect Street frontage has quite a lot of landscaping. So
Gotcha.
that's it.
And Will, we can write that out properly when you write this up if we so choose to.
Question.
The rest of the application, Roxanne, you said that you made a comment that we had it all kind of settled prior to on the adjournment. Is that?
Yes. Yes, the addition is in line with the footprint. The shed was 19 instead of 20. There was the rear yard occupancy, which is kind of like the same issue as the front yard. It's just that one piece behind the dwelling. Everything was pretty much okay as far as, where the board was leaning. It was more the issue of the front yard occupancy.
Okay, so due to the fact that the rear yard is 48.6 and being that it's a second front yard too, that's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Next application number 635-20. Michael Franceschini and Emmanuel Malazzo Jr. permission to leave roofed over patio having a side yard of 15 feet instead of required 25 feet, total side yards of 32 feet instead of required 60 feet, and concrete pad having a side yard of 2 feet instead of the required 4 feet. Residence AAA District, west side of Oakdale Bohemia Road, number 204, 499.36 feet south of Sycamore Avenue, Bohemia, New York. Is anyone here for the applicant?
I'm asking Doug to start his video. I've moved Doug Hines into the panelist frame, and I'm asking him to start his video. Doug, you may have to unmute yourself. Here we go.
Thank you very much, Mary. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Messina, congratulazioni on pronouncing those names so beautifully. This structure has been in place. It was erected with benefit of a permit in 2007. This board approved these variances on March 13th of 2007, application number 176 of 07. There have been 2 successive owners since the original permittee, and how those transactions closed without this turning up as an item that had not been finalized is a bit of a mystery and a bit of a shock to the current owners, but we would respectfully submit that the considerations that the board had in mind in 2007 obtain. The town has picked up the proximity of a concrete slab in the front to the property line. It is, as you see, approaches the property line for a distance of about 4 to 6 feet. Otherwise, it's a good 4 feet away. If the board saw fit to require us to cut that back, we would do so. We have given to the secretary of the board consents from our 2 immediate neighbors and would respectfully request your favorable consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Hines. I think just that concrete pad seems to curve at one part that's a little closer than the other. We see them a lot. The roofed over concrete patio is in line with the dwelling now as it sits, and I believe that's part of the ZBA grant that we did in 07 too, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a great night.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm trying to reach out to the next applicant,
All right.
James and Laura Mitchell. They did register today, but I don't see them in the attendee.
No, it's Vincent and Deborah Arma.
Oh, they're here. Let me move them in. Sorry,
All
I'm
right.
getting ahead
Next
of
application number, you got to listen to me read first, Mr. Sam. Number 636-20, Vincent and Deborah Arma. Permission to leave patio having a rear yard occupancy of 37% instead of permitted 30%. Residence A District, north side of Simmons Drive, number 131, 323.31 feet west of Country Village Lane, East Islip. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Let me help him. Here he comes.
I'm sorry. Hello,
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Great. Name and address for the record, please.
Sure, it's Vincent Armour. The address is 131 Simmons Drive, East Islip, New York.
Great. You're here for some rear yard occupancy relief.
Correct.
Code says 30%. We usually allow up to 40%. You're at 37, so you're okay. We see that. Sound good to you?
Yeah.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Wex, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
Nice. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Next application, number 637-20, James L. and Laura L. Mitchell. Permission to leave cellar entrance having a rear yard of 13.69 feet instead of the required 25 feet. Residence B District, southwest corner of Cordello Avenue, number 81 and Clift Street, Central Islip, New York. Is there anyone here for the
He
applicant?
is here. I'm sorry. I probably had renumbered you already and forgotten. Laura, can you hear us? You have to unmute yourself. There we go.
Good evening.
Hello.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Laura Mitchell, 81 Cordello Avenue, Central Islip, New York.
Great. You're here for a cellar entrance with a little bit of too small of a rear yard, correct?
Yes,
Is the cellar entrance enclosed?
yes, it is.
It's completely enclosed, the cellar entrance?
With the fence going all the way around, yes.
No. The cellar entrance, is it part of the house? Like, is it enclosed with walls above the cellar entrance, or is it just cement going down?
Well, there's stairs and there's a door.
Is there a roof over it?
Yeah, roof
No.
over it with walls?
No,
So it's not
Okay.
enclosed then?
no.
Do we have a picture, Ms. Pissarro, by any chance?
I did send pictures.
Hold
So
on.
If it's not enclosed, as you state for the record, you agreed to never to enclose the cellar entrance, correct?
Right,
Okay.
So
It just being made a part of your house with a roof and walls makes it a little addition. You
no,
understand?
it's not. There's nothing over the door.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Just stairs down.
Can you see it here?
Yep, that's right. So never to enclosed. Never to
Right,
be enclosed, correct?
correct.
Okay. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application with the proviso that it never be enclosed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Next application, number 638-20, Paul J. and Kelly Ann Weiss. Permission to erect two-story addition 5 feet by 24.1 feet, leaving a side yard of 11.6 feet instead of the required 14 feet, and a front yard of 24.1 feet instead of the required 25 feet, and to leave a shed with the attached roof over, having a side yard of 3 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence B District, northwest corner of Manel Avenue, number 94, and Raymond Street, Islip, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes. We have the applicant and we have their architect.
Wonderful.
There we go. I find it's a big help when I finally hit that ask to start video, then people seem to, there we go. There we go.
Okay, sorry about that.
Good evening. How are you?
Very good. How are you? Thank you.
Good. Name and address for the record, please.
Paul and Kelly Weiss, 94 Monell Avenue, Islip.
Great. I see on the list here, your design professional was going to be here too. Is he coming or?
Yes,
Yes, he was on.
Here he is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I lost internet.
Oh,
No
how are you,
worries.
sir? Just name and address for the record, please.
Keith Kernick, KG Design Studio Architecture, 18 Willard Avenue, Sayville, New York.
Great. Would you like to state the case?
Yes, did you already?
We did the call of the meeting,
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Bennett. So if you have anything to add to that, that's great. And if you don't, that's fine too.
Okay, well, as you can see from the survey, and there's drawings after that, there is an existing roofed over front porch that extends 5'2" off the front of the house. So that's going to be removed, and then we're going to add a 2.5-story, 5-foot addition by the width of the house.
So it's actually closer than the awning goes now, right? By a couple of inches, right?
No, it's 2 inches behind where the
Yeah,
existing.
that's what I'm saying. It's 2
Oh,
inches to
okay.
the better. Let's put it
Okay,
that way.
yes, yes.
Good. So you're improving the condition.
Yes.
See?
And then
See how that
we're,
works?
As far as the shed, I guess there's a existing shed there. Paul, you want to talk about that? I'm unfamiliar about the shed.
Honestly, we see them all, I'm not trying to rush you, you can tell.
Okay, perfect.
We
But
see
this-
them all the time, and it seems de minimis, the half of a foot that the front corner of the shed seems to be out of line. I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
Unless you'd like to speak of it, you're more than welcome, it's your right, so.
Nope.
If you're okay, I'm okay.
That guy's a smart man.
And Civic Theater from planning is okay with everything, no objection?
No objections. There's precedent for the front yard and side yards. Nothing for the shed, but like you said, it's very minimal, so no objections.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Wexler, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion that we grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night, guys.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, you too.
Bye.
All right, our next application, Ms. Pissarro, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, is this the one we had discussed earlier?
It is.
Okay. The next application, Mr. Chairman, while I'll call the hearing, I will be recusing on, so I will turn my microphone and my camera off during that period of time. Number 639-20, Panadequate LLC, permission to erect two-story building having side yard of 11.9 feet instead of required 50 feet, to maintain a buffer of 5 feet instead of the required 25 feet, and to install overhead door facing residential use. Landscaping and parking relaxations are also requested, as well as variances granted as part of ZBA number 742-17, Industrial 1 District, east side of North Panadequate Avenue, 50.03 feet south of Lockwood Road, Bayshore, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
We have the applicant and his architect.
All right, at this time, I will turn off my microphone and my camera. Ms. Pissarro, I'll count on you to alert me as to when I can come back.
We'll miss you.
Yeah, Wednesday. You can come back.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, good evening. Name and
Good
address.
evening. Good evening. This is Raymond Caliendo and Mark Sears of Art of Form Architects for the applicant.
Great. How are you guys tonight?
Very good. Good, thank you.
Sorry, could I get the name of the second person, not Raymond?
Okay, Mark, SEARAGE.
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
You're
before you start, Mary, I don't have a survey. Were those sent later on by email to us and I didn't catch it?
You didn't get the one that's on the screen right now?
I have what's on, but it looks like a design. I don't have a survey. Certified like we see every case.
Yeah. Okay. It was a bit of an unorthodox application, and you're about to hear, hopefully, from the applicant's representatives why. I don't know that we have an existing conditions survey in this file. Deirdre, maybe you can show the aerial photograph.
But I'm sorry, Mary, why don't we have a survey? I mean, I don't think I've ever entertained an application without a survey.
There's a lot of complications to do with this. This was actually a rehearing of this application because of a recent approval of the parcel that's adjacent to the north. The subject parcel forms an L around the southeast corner of Lockwood and Panadequate. As you can see from the aerial photograph that Deirdre has just provided, there is an existing building that is to be demolished. So were you to have a survey, you would have a survey of an existing building that is to be demolished.
Oh, this one, yeah.
Okay, so that's the shape of the parcel. It's got 71 foot on Panadequate, and I'm not sure of the width on Lockwood. It might be 50. So now the site plan, the plot plan, which you had first, shows the proposed new building.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I can try to get the existing conditions survey and share it myself, but it
Just kind of stands out that there is no survey. I don't think we've ever entertained an application without.
the applicant
He means the site plan.
asked the town to schedule this for a rehearing for reasons that they're going to tell you in a moment. So the town prepared the application for the most part.
Okay, thank you.
What
Okay,
say, gentlemen?
The owner is supposed to be on. I don't
He's on.
apparently. Oh, he is. Jerry, you there?
Jerry, you might have to unmute yourself if you want to speak. Jerry, find the little microphone, the red microphone in the corner, and click it. There you go. Good job.
You on, Jerry?
I'm on now.
Okay, okay.
Jerry, name
So-
and address for the record, please.
My name is Jerry Silkman. I'm with Panadequate LLC.
Great.
I own this property for a long time.
Just the address, just an address for you, sir.
6 Cherry Street in Bay Shore.
Great. Okay, thank you.
So, as I said, I own this property for a long time. And we've had all these allowances and easements in the past. This will be the third time that we're doing a zoning board meeting to get the same allowances that we've always had since I bought the property.
Okay.
So the rest, I guess the architect can, advise.
Perfect.
Yeah, as Jerry mentioned, this application has been before the board. The previous ZBA number was 742-17. And in this particular situation, as I believe the town is familiar, there was some confusion with respect to the zoning of the corner parcel as a residential versus an industrial. And after discussing this with planning on multiple occasions, it was determined that we would have to seek relief from the distances from the building to that land. So that's the only thing new about this application. Everything else is, as Jerry mentioned, is pretty much the same.
So you're seeking relief from the residential building?
Well, no, we have a side yard of 11.9, which is provided, and given that, this is a residential source. Now that it's residential, since it's been changed to residential, 50 is required. We haven't physically changed the location of the building. It's just that the zoning for the adjacent property changed. So that's the position we find ourselves in now.
Okay.
And the rest of it is the same. The overhead door, as you, I don't want to go through, outlining them. You already mentioned them in your opening remarks, but that's basically the whole application.
So I don't see in the zoning board application 742-17, the approval as amended, grant as amended, anything about the door. Is that now an issue because it's facing a residential lot?
Yes, that is correct, because now it's changed to a residential. We have that issue.
Okay. Deidre from planning, any comments from planning?
My only hesitation is that because they're still going through engineering, I'm not too sure what might be changed or edited or anything like that. That's my only hesitation. But is there also on this, I just wanted to ask a question. This diagram right here, is this another roll-up door?
Yes, that is an overhead door.
That's a door, yes.
So to the right, it's always been residential.
Yeah, but we have the distance we need.
Yeah,
It's more than 50 feet.
That is, yeah, we're in compliance on that side.
Right, I was just saying because it's the way it's worded to install an overhead door facing residential use. So
No,
I thought that also meant, what about this one as well?
No, because we have the distance on that side. It's the other side facing the different, the residential property that was just rezoned. That's the one that concerns this application.
Right. It's not necessarily rezoned, it was a non-conforming. It's a bit different. I believe the north, it's still technically within industrial 1, so it wasn't technically rezoned. It's just allowing the residential use, which is what we went through before. But will there be, because this is a roll-up door, will there be trucks, I guess, coming in between this 10-foot side yard and going in?
No, there's no vehicles that are, that's mainly for a man. It's a large man door, basically. There's no vehicles going
It's-
down that alley.
It's
No.
to be moving, it moved materials in and out of the building.
Okay, that's why I just kind of wanted to clarify, because that's,
Yeah.
would be.
No, there's no room for truck traffic there.
I know that there was, I briefly saw the site plan a bit. Will there be large like evergreens or anything planted?
We submitted the
Yeah,
landscaping plan.
Yeah, well, we submitted, I don't know if they got it, but yeah, there's a double roll of landscaping on the east side, and there was also landscaping between Lockwood and the parking lot. Yeah, it is fully landscaped.
Okay, all right. I saw it just said that it would be landscaped. It didn't specify, so I just wanted to make sure.
We've been going back and forth with planning on the exact, what exactly what they want with respect to landscaping. So, we intend full compliance, so.
Right. No, that, I just wanted to clarify a few things because I wasn't too sure, because I think you're reviewing with engineering, not.
An engineer, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
not, I apologize.
Just wanted to clarify. Yeah, that's my only hesitation still stands. They're still going through it, but that's about it.
Explain to me a little more your hesitation. They're still going through engineering, you're saying?
Yeah, they're still going through site plan review.
Well, I'm sorry, but we are basically finished with the drawings to be resubmitted to engineering. The only reason why we did not be because of this hearing. We wanted to see what came out of this in case anything else had to be revised. But tomorrow we can resubmit to engineering.
Yeah, we've been finished for.
Hi, can I get some clarification? I'm just trying to find out. There was a prior ZBA hearing in 2017. What became of that? Why wasn't it acted on? Why are we here again? Somebody can just explain, Deidre or Mary or somebody.
So in 2017, the applicant, Jerry Sukman, came before us shortly after a decision was made to demolish the entire building rather than put an addition on to the building you saw on the aerial, which is on the existing condition survey, which you don't have. So when he made the decision to demolish the entire building, it was more cost effective than adding to the old one. It was then determined that he needed a width of lot relaxation because they don't have 100 feet throughout. They have 70.69 feet on Panattaquid Avenue. It was also a calculation that I believe it was, do we have it in the call of the meeting? No, 18,000 and change instead of the required 20. So the board saw that, as they normally would, as a tear down of an existing old, not exactly functional industrial building and replacing it with a newer, modern industrial building. And naturally the board reinstated the width of lot throughout and the minor lot area variance. At that hearing, Kelly Wozniak from planning was present, and she actually asked the board to add in 2 more reliefs. Believe it or not, the railroad tracks are zoned residential, the bed of the railroad tracks. So Kelly pointed out that in order to get through site plan approval, they would need permission to have less than 50 feet setback from the railroad tracks, and also less than the required 25-foot buffer from residential zoning. Mr. Bowers, the chairman at the time, amended the call for those 2 considerations, in addition to the width of lot and the area.
Mary didn't pick it up.
So clearly at that point in 2017, everybody was thinking that the parcel to the north, which we recently reestablished as a residential dwelling, everyone was thinking that was an industrial property, so therefore no setbacks and buffer would be required from it. And that's what happened in 2017.
Helps a little. Did we consider the relaxation from 11.9 instead of required 50? Was that something we already considered?
We didn't because nobody in the town denied it that way to send it to us, because everyone in the town was reliant upon an unofficial entry on a CO that spoke to revoking nonconformity due to abandonment of the house to the north.
All right, then do we still have to address the 11.9 over 50, or is that something?
That's why it's back.
That's why we're here, so that's just.
Okay, I mean, is there any precedent for that substantial relaxation?
The precedent in the building that is there right now, I'm looking at the existing condition survey, and again, I'm sorry you don't have it. I did scan it and I'm going to try to share it, but it's the existing building, which has a CO, maintains a setback of 10 feet.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
And just
I'm sorry.
another question, it says landscaping and parking relaxations are also requested. What does that mean?
I'm going to rely on the design professionals for that.
For the buffer behind the north property, we have 5 feet. And for that, the buffer on that should be 25 between a residential and industrial.
Why do we not want to have 25 feet? Isn't there the buffer for a reason to protect the residential?
This is, when the building was originally planned and when all these approvals were granted, this was before, and the town, I guess, Mary, you can speak to this as far as this confusion over the.
What year was that? I mean, was this something granted 60 years ago?
No, I'm talking about the 2017.
So we granted a 5-foot buffer instead of 25?
No,
2 years
it's
ago?
because the property was not classified as a residential zone at that point. You want to explain that, Mary, or?
Never been a residential zone. We're a stone's throw from the railroad tracks. This has always been industrial. The entire east side of Panattaquid and south side of Lockwood has always been industrial zoning.
But Mary-
Houses became prohibited in industrial one zoning in 1961, maybe, or thereafter.
Mary, are there houses on the 5-foot side?
There is the
No.
house that we heard in June. Thank you, Deirdre. So that house there on the corner, the southeast corner of Panattaquid and Lockwood, after some time went to Suffolk County for non-payment of taxes. Somebody acquired it at Suffolk County auction and proceeded to do some improvements to the dwelling. I don't know if there was a stop work order. I don't know if how it came to be that there was question as to whether those alterations needed a permit. Work was stopped. An application was filed to us to establish a legal nonconforming use of something that already had legal nonconformity.
Okay.
And they won it.
I'm sorry, John?
It was approved.
It was approved, possibly unnecessarily so, because the town could not revoke nonconformity of that CO'd dwelling without a public hearing.
Mary, can I also ask a question where it says landscaping and parking relaxations are also sought? To me, that's like the call saying on any case, a relaxation, a variance is sought.
Right. It's not a way that we like to hear things. We like a required and a provided, and that's for sure. And that's where Art of Form has to help me, because I was under the impression that this site plan was a stroke away from site plan approval, and we were asked to reconsider the buffer and the setback. When we looked at the upload that engineering had in our records, which I think was your 5th or 6th submission, Jerry's, not necessarily yours, we now saw that you indicated that you needed a minor overall landscaping relaxation and a 1-stall parking relaxation. I'd note that that 1 stall may increase because the dumpster is located in the easterly buffer and it can't be there.
Can I make a suggestion? There's a lot of unknowns here. You're not finished with engineering. I've never seen we need a parking and landscaping relaxation. How do you like that?
Mr. Wexler, I think we should maybe possibly reserve and allow them to go through, or I think a reserve would be good, allow them to go through where they're going, have that submitted, and then we can discuss the application at that point.
All right, I think that's a good idea. I think they should go through planning and engineering. I don't know anything about relaxations of parking. I have no idea what's even going there, how many spots are needed. It's just so open. It's very difficult to render a decision.
So that the board has a little faith in why I scheduled this, Ray and Mark, if you could please elaborate a little bit on the minor nature of the proposed parking and overall landscaping relaxations, that would be great.
The parking relaxation is for one car. Do we have the,
Yeah, there was 13 and we have 13. It required 14. That was because of the mezzanine.
yeah, the
But
reason.
shouldn't that be in the call the calendar? I mean,
If I had faith in it, I would have put it in.
what do you mean if you have faith in it?
There's a dumpster that can't be in the buffer right there. So that
You
needs,
know what? Let's follow what our chairman said. Let's reserve and let's get this plan and everything completed. It's just up in the air. It's rendering us to look at thin air and make a decision. And I don't feel comfortable doing it. I'm only one vote. I don't know what I'm looking at. I've never, ever seen an application that A, didn't have a survey, but we figured that out, and B, just says relaxations required or requested. What does that mean?
I honestly think, I honestly think, Mr. Wexler, that if we set it to reserve and we allow submissions upon the approval or denial or whatever changes may be from the engineering department and planning, and then we can discuss it at that moment there. Is that something we could do, Mary?
I appreciate that Ray and Mark believe that they should have waited to see what happened here before they did a resubmission to engineering, but I think the resubmission to engineering has to happen before the board will render a decision.
But you want
That's fine. We've been ready to resubmit for several months at this point. We would
So do it.
Unfortunate then that you didn't do
have done
it.
so.
So do it.
So maybe Will, our council can help us. Will, is it better for taking adjournment until they resubmit, or can we do a reserve and they can submit in a time period and we can discuss it? How does that work? Because I don't know how long it's going to take engineering or the planning department to render a decision on what they want done here.
I suppose we could ask Connecticut LLC whether or not they'd be willing to consent to the 62 days starting after engineering makes their decision. Or we could adjourn it and I suppose come back after engineering has made their decision.
What's the easiest way to ask them or to adjourn it? Tell me. You're the expert.
Probably ask to adjourn.
I agree with that too. I think it should be adjourned before we reserve.
Gentlemen, do you understand what we're getting at? So if we take an adjournment, you submit, and then the engineering department comes back with their what they like to see or approves it, whatever it may be, and then we can put you right back on and figure out the variances from there.
Jerry, are you okay with that?
I'm okay with it. I kind of wanted to hear from Jerry. Oh, I thought they said
Jerry.
Mary, but I want to hear from
Jerry.
Jerry also.
Well, I have no choice. It's been that way for 12 years.
I'm
Okay.
sorry to feel that way, sir. We're just trying to make it easier in the long run for.
It's not, it's kicking the can down the road is what it is.
Well, we're not necessarily kicking the can down the road. This is something that we can't really feel comfortable making a decision on until.
I understand, but this has a history.
I
This whole
understand.
project has a history.
I understand.
And
But we're not kicking the can down the road. I'm just trying to make the record clear. We're just trying to give you an option. So
well,
that-
yeah, but I'm the one who you're asking me to wait another 62 days, fine. I have no choice, and that's my answer.
I'm not asking you to wait another 62 days. I'm asking your design professionals if they would like to take an adjournment so they can resubmit to the engineering department and get a decision from them, so we can make our decision as we should, and that's how the process normally would go. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking you to wait
Well,
another.
let's hypothetically say that they approve the site plan.
So then they.
do they- and-
you
but
come
they
back
don't-
to the- You come back to the zoning board and we put you on the calendar as soon as we possibly can, and we
But-
hear your case.
Let's say they approve it based on these improvements or these alleviations. And then are you constrained to agree to it, or they can approve it and you could say, we don't want it?
That's true.
Right?
It's true, but whatever they come back with will hold weight with us. So we're gonna wait to see what they say.
Okay.
All right.
I understand, and I have no choice. That's my answer.
All right. Does anyone wish to be heard this application?
There are
Yes.
neighbors.
Excuse me?
We do. We're the cat.
Adjacent property.
Yeah, just name and address for the record, please.
Kathy and Neil Sacamano. We own the property at 14 Lockwood.
The adjacent property.
And you understand, and not, you're more than welcome to be heard, but you understand that the applicants are taking an adjournment until they get approval from, or they submit
Yes.
it to the engineer department.
And one of my concerns was what Mary addressed, the dumpster, which is near our property.
I mean,
Something that the
we're talking a huge relaxing of the buffers. You're not talking a foot or two, you're talking 75%.
And we've owned our property since the 90s
80s.
and since the 80s. I
And
got
it's a-
married to him in the
and
90s.
It's a residential area on Lockwood Road. And in the past, there's been diesel trucks coming in and out of that property and idling all night and compressors running. And they're trying to make it sound like that area is commercial. If you go to that area, you'll find, at least on Lockwood Road, it's nothing but residential houses, so 90% residential houses.
Hang on one second. Do we have an aerial photo that maybe these folks can point out where their house is relative? That's your house being
Yes.
sold? And the property is located where? The subject
Lockwood
property?
Road.
And
This
they
is-
want to, that's the buffer?
No, we're talking about the dumpster. My
No, we're
husband
talking
is
about-
concerned about the buffer on Penobscot, and that's been a house since the 80s. And there have been times that, yes, it's been abandoned, but people have been in fact living there. And, the gentleman did improvements on that particular house on Penobscot. And he did come to you guys in June, to get it recognized as a house, as a residential house.
And what happens, like, back in the 80s, there was a laundromat in there that had trucks pulling in through Lockwood Road, not through Penobscot, all the hours of the day and night. And the trucks would idle all night because they didn't want to turn them off in the cold weather and things like that. So and like I said, if you look, there's all sorts of residential houses there.
And there was one of those billow doors that would go up and down like that woman from the planning board,
And the place is
indicated.
running all night.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I understand.
Does anyone else wish to be heard this application? Does the board have any further questions? I make a motion to adjourn this application.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application adjourned. Obviously, we'll be in touch once it goes through the proper process.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Mr. Chairman, our next application is number 640-20, Anam and Syed Iqbal. Permission to leave hot tub having building separation of 4.8 feet instead of required 6 feet, Residence A District, west side of Saxon Avenue, number 1278, 200 feet south of Geneva Street, Bay Shore. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
I don't believe we have anybody present on this application. Unfortunately, we do have about 2 or 3 on here where people were not able to register. There's a little challenge today, so.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that we put this at second call, please.
Second call.
Next application, number 641-20, Eli D. and Roberta Schoenfeld, permission to leave screen porch having side yard of 9.8 feet instead of required 10 feet and rear yard of 16.4 feet instead of the required 25 feet, resulting in floor area ratio of 40.6% instead of permitted 30%, to leave outdoor shower on deck 3 feet high, having a side yard of 0.8 of a foot instead of required 5 feet, to relocate bench and deck under to side property line, not having required setback of 5 feet, to leave deck having side yard of 0.7 feet instead of required 5 feet, and shed on deck having side yard of 5.3 feet instead of the required 10 feet. Residence A District, west side of Elm Walk, number 51, 280 feet north of Central Walk, Fair Harbor. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Birdie, how are you?
Charles, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
Okay, good. How are you tonight, everyone?
Good.
Charles J. Broody, architect, 30 Bethesda Lane, Sable, New York, 11782. Representing the property owners.
Great. State your case. How are you?
Good, very good, thank you. I'd like to just make one amendment to the call in respect to the bench that is over the property line. It says to be relocated. It will actually be removed.
Okay, so make a motion to amend the call of the meeting to relocate bench and deck under to side property line not having required setback of 5 feet.
I think the deck still stays, just the bench gets removed.
bench?
Is that
Right.
right? Yeah, just the
Correct.
bench.
Relocate bench to side property line not having required setback of 5
I'll
feet.
second the motion.
In favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. As stated in the call, I believe there are precedent for almost everything here in talking to Deirdre from planning.
Almost.
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 With the,
Why don't we
with
start
the
with there's not
exception-
precedent?
I'm sorry?
Why don't we start with is not precedent?
Okay, that would be the side yard of 0.8 feet to the deck.
What's
I
the
believe there
closest
is a
precedent that
precedent.
you, what's the closest one you have?
There is one for 1 foot. If Deirdre would confirm that for me.
Closest thing I found for the shower and for the decking is 1 foot. They're
Every-
at 0.7 and 0.9.
All other requests, there are precedents for, according to planning.
Is that correct, Deirdre?
Yes, there's precedent for everything else, other than the bench, but that got removed.
Right.
So no objection from planning.
No objection, just the precedent's at 1 foot if you want to keep it at 1 foot, but I don't know how you feel about the difference between the 1 foot to 0.7 or 0.9.
I'm sure Mr. Wexler feels strongly.
Yeah, I don't have
What
a
is that,
problem.
an inch and 3/4?
There you go.
It's, yeah, it
But it's that
varies.
much
between an
closer,
inch
Mr. Wexler. You
Yeah.
know, we keep creeping closer and closer to that property line, man.
I know.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Wexler, I'll take a motion.
Thank you. I'll make a motion that we grant the amended application.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion granted, so have a great night.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Next application number 642-20, Anthony and Deneen Pittree. Permission to leave shed 10 feet by 12.2 feet, having 6.2 feet behind the front line of the dwelling instead of required 20 feet. Residence A District, south side of Riviera Lane, number 16, 445.3 feet east of Andrea Lane, West Sayville, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
You have the applicant?
I apologize to the applicant for butchering your name.
That's okay. Can you hear me?
You can. Can you tell me,
It's
pronounce
Deneen-
the cor-
Anthony's right. Deneen and Petrie like the dish.
Okay, thank you. I
No
won't
problem.
make that mistake again, sir.
That's okay. No worries. How's everybody tonight? Good?
Great.
Excellent.
Name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Anthony Petrie, 16 Rivera Lane, West Sable, New York, 11796.
Great. So you have a shed that is not far enough behind the front line of the dwelling. I am looking at the certificate of occupancy, and there is a CFC from 1992 regarding a shed. Is that the same shed that we're talking about here?
It's not. I bought the house 3 years ago. That shed was all rotted out when I bought it because that side of the yard is all graded uphill. So
Was it in the same location, sir?
No, it was not.
Where was the shed?
It was on the opposite side of where the pool is, or the other. I guess that would be the south, or the east, the west side of the property.
Okay. And how long ago did you build it?
I built this shed within the last 12 months. I think January I had it built.
Oh,
I have a bunch of notes here. I don't know if it matters. I feel a lot
Well,
like.
let me ask you, was the old shed less than 20 feet behind the dwelling?
Was it less than that? It was more than that.
More than 20 feet behind the front of the dwelling?
It was more than that. Yeah, it was in a different spot.
And we keep
entirely.
lobbing you softballs. And
Yeah, I
you-
know.
He's taking the
Sorry.
same thing.
Well,
You're
Yeah,
on-
one out of the park.
I feel
give you credit.
a lot like Joe Pesci and my cousin Vinny. I'm a little nervous here.
I
Well,
give
you're
you,
honest.
I give you credit for being an honest man, sir.
Can you move the shed back a little?
I can't because I wanted to put it on the other, so we wanted to put it in the back corner of the property, but the entire property pitches up like a ramp towards the back, and that's why I had to put a retaining wall in when I put the pool in. So that was a fun expense also. So I would need, if I moved it to the other side, that other shed that I took out, it was all rotted out because it just sat in water.
Right.
So every time it rained, so I would have to grade and pitch and put a new retaining wall on that side of the property. I wanted to put it there, and my wife, because I'm being recorded, I won't say she nagged me. She was gently reminded me not to put it there because of that.
I'm sure we don't have any precedent, right, Deidre?
No precedent.
Yeah.
But we do
let me ask-
have a rather unique circumstance of the geological condition.
That's what I was saying. But possibly we can look at this and say the property grades and the shed is there for a reason of it's the level ground on that, and maybe we can
Finesse it.
I'm also willing to, and I was going to put up arborvitaes in front of the fence, but I didn't want to. When I got this letter in August, I didn't want to jump the gun and be presumptuous, so I held off on doing so. But if it's just aesthetics from the
Well,
street,
maybe we'd make that part of a grant.
I'd rather put the money towards positive, something for the greater good, I guess.
Yeah, we like arborvitaes.
Okay.
Our chairman loves them.
Excellent. I actually, in fact, when I put the pool in, I lined the pool with Leland's just to provide extra privacy and insulation. I have two little kids, so I know they're going to be, loud. It's just to, sound insulation from my neighbors. So I try to do everything, courteous and the right way, obviously. But
Can you be my neighbor? You're a nice guy.
sure.
And
No
like
problem.
I said, you're an honest man. Good for you.
Thank you.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application?
We do have a neighbor who asked to attend.
Right.
She's probably
Hi.
she's probably on just so she could tell the wife what was said.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Kristen Diatoma, 19 Rivera Lane, West Sayville. I live across the street.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say the Petries are really great neighbors, and everything that they've done to their house has really been for the greater good of the neighborhood. We've never had an issue with anything that they've done, so I'm just here in total support.
That's very nice of you.
Thank you, Chris.
You have a great night.
You too. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application.
Second.
Should we specify the reason that we're granting it?
What was, and
There's
also,
The topography?
and include the arborvitaes, right?
You want to include the arborvitaes? Okay, so we'll
Sure, why
grant the
not?
application based on the fact that the topography of the land grades upwards, and it would be a problem to have the shed in that downward section of the property. And the applicant has agreed to plant arborvitaes to block the neighbors or the front of the house from seeing the shed.
Could I ask to have those put in? Could I put those in the spring? Just because I don't know if they're going to take.
Absolutely.
We'll give you 6 months.
Listen, I'd plant them now, but I think if it's going to get too cold, I don't think they're going to live.
We'll give you 6 months to comply with that. How's
Excellent. That's fine. No problem.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Take care.
All right, next application, Mr. Chairman, number 643-20, Daniel T. and Stephanie P. Serrano. Permission to leave pergola on rear yard property line, not having required setback of 2 feet, Residence A District, west side of Idle Hour Boulevard, number 286, 217.5 feet, 0.53 feet north of Middlesex Avenue, Oakdale. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
I'm sorry that you read these whole things only for me to tell you that this person has not arrived either. but I
Well, we
think
have to read them because we have to call them.
Yeah.
Second call, please, Mr. Chairman.
Good call.
Thank you. Next application is number 644-20, Timothy and Caitlin Dornacek, excuse me. Permission to leave in-ground pool having building separation to shed of 4.5 feet instead of the required 6 feet, and to leave shed having rear yard of 1.5 feet instead of required 2 feet. Residence A District, east side of Weaver Road, number 115, 319 feet north of Joni Drive, West Sayville, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Tim
David.
Dornacek. Tim Dornacek, 115 Weaver Road, West Sayville, New York, 11796.
Great. How are you tonight?
How's it going? Thank you, everyone. Yeah, so I had a pool put in. There's a fairly large shed there in the corner. When the pool was put in, they told me there shouldn't have been an issue with any of the distances from that shed. Obviously, there was once I went in for the permit. So that shed obviously can't be moved at this point. There's a small fence over there. It'd be a number of things I'd have to change to try to shift it over. And that, again, would probably get it too close to the property line. The shed in the other side near the pool is a smaller plastic shed. I put that right up against the edge of the patio, making it about a half a foot shy of the 2 foot setback in the back corner of the yard there.
Yep, we see these a lot. Both of your application seems to be diminished. The building separation we see a lot, and the other small shed off the property line we see a lot also. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night, sir.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Next application, number 645-20, Ruperto and Teresa Argueta. Permission to leave roofed over second story deck resulting in floor area ratio of 29.2% instead of the permitted 25%. Residence A District, north side of Crooked Hill Road, number 175, 493.59 feet west of Wicks Road, Brentwood, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant? Ms. Pissarro?
They're here.
Okay.
Can you hear us, Teresa? Does everybody see the applicants?
We do. I can't hear her, though.
Okay. Teresa, can you hear us? Can you, if you can, nod your head. Okay, so they have a camera. Maybe they don't have audio.
Audio, no audio?
All right, Mr. Chairman, this is a simple FAR application of 4.2%. I don't know what the applicant could add to it.
Yeah, so if the applicant can nod her head that she's okay, we proceed without hearing her audio. Can you nod your head yes, if you're okay with that?
She's writing me and writing us all in the panel right now, saying they cannot connect to audio.
Okay.
So I'm just going to write back.
Mr. Chairman, I think somebody should make a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the application.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
I'm telling them on the chat right now.
All right.
You won.
Best application ever.
Very eloquent.
That's right.
What does
that
Sullivan say about brevity?
Be brief, be brilliant, and be gone.
Brevity is rewarded.
There you go.
There you go.
And we
Next
give it
application is number
in Latin.
646-20, Vincent and Antonia Alvarez, permission to leave patio and driveway on side property line not having required setback of 4 feet each, and a shed having a rear yard of 0.8 feet instead of the required 2 feet. Residence B District, south side of Bronx Avenue, number 28, 101.17 feet east of Hawthorne Avenue, Central Islip, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes, I am. Antonia Alvarez.
Good evening and welcome.
Thank you.
Address for the record, please, ma'am.
Well, I now live in Nevada, 2055 Joyview Lane, Henderson, Nevada.
Well, isn't it convenient that we do these this way now, huh?
Yes, it is.
Keep counting.
Yeah. Very good.
I
Mr.
already
Wexler.
voted, but I voted in New York, sorry.
All right, we don't want to know. Don't say anything more about that.
No.
So we are here to seek permission to leave a patio and a driveway that a little too close to the property line and a shed. The driveway just seems to be two small sections of it with, in comparison to your property line. And the shed seems to be on an angle. We see them a lot and it seems to be de minimis. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? The board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
Thank you very much.
All right, the next application is number 647-20, Philip E. Pipitone. Permission to leave corral on side property lines not having a required setback of 10 feet each. Residence AA District, east side of Walnut Street, 1,040.68 feet south of Benedict Street, Bohemia, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
He's here. Sorry about that.
Hello?
Mary. Sorry about that, Mary. I thought I was writing Teresa.
that's okay.
And telling her she was approved. She waved to me after I wrote it, so I thought I did.
That's okay. Hi.
Good evening.
Hi.
Name and address to the record, please.
Well, I'm here for my husband, Philip Pipitone, 707 Walnut Avenue, Bohemia, New York, 11716. My name's Mary O'Donnell, 707 Walnut Avenue, Bohemia, New York, 11716.
So you have corrals that are up against property line on both sides.
Oh, we have a horse and we have the fence that we built that was supposed to be, that we were told it was the way it was supposed to be. And I'm a little confused. I wasn't supposed to be doing this. I'm not really sure. My husband's at work and, you know,
This is
we
my
just,
first corral application, Mr. Chairman.
we have a horse and we have a backyard and we did everything the way we were supposed to. And then I don't really know exactly what the problem is, but we spent a lot of money building it and we just has a lot of expense into it. And it's all built and our neighbor said it's fine with them. They don't mind at all. And
Yeah, you have neighbors on both sides, right?
yes,
Okay, and
Yeah,
go ahead,
well,
Mr. Chairman.
they never complain and they love the horse and
What's
I
the
don't know.
horse's name? That's important.
Sammy.
Sammy?
Samson. Yeah, Samson.
Samson, all right.
Deidre, any objection from planning?
I'm just confused where it is. This horse stall here looks like it's 16.5. So where is it on the property line?
So a corral
It's the fenced
is
in
really
area.
just a fence.
Oh,
It's a fence.
Area fenced in.
It's a fence that contains a horse and it's required if you have a property with horses on it. So that fence, once it becomes a corral, is supposed to have a setback of 10 feet.
But if you lose the horse, it's now no longer a corral, it's a fence. It's
Correct.
just a fence.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're talking about, we're talking about the north property line, right, Mary?
The
It's
north.
only, yeah, Deirdre,
Very philosophical, Vinny.
I got confused with the horse stall over here, so I was confused why.
Yeah, no worries, no
Yeah.
worries.
So no
Are you-
objections.
Okay.
I'm good with it, everybody.
I'm good with it too.
He's
There
a
you
good
go.
boy.
Good.
He's,
I'm good too.
oh, thank you.
All right, there you
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
The chairman, I move to grant the application in favor of Sampson's fence.
go.
Samson, does that mean everything's
Corral,
okay?
Mr. Sullivan, it's a
Oh, it's
corral.
correct. Sampson's correct.
Does that mean everything's okay or?
Well, not
It's
yet,
all
we have
good.
to vote still.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, just don't cut his hair.
Oh, no. He has Cushing's disease and insulin resistance too. And back in May, he was lame and we took really good, I'm a retired
Yeah.
nurse and took really good care of him. And now he's running.
You gotta ask Mr. Sullivan, really.
that's great. That's great.
I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck with the horse. Have a great night.
Thank you. Everything's okay then?
Yes.
You still have to
Okay.
continue with the building department, whatever it was you were working on.
Oh, continue with the building department?
Yeah.
What does
Yeah.
that mean? I don't
I
understand.
think some of the structures need to be on the CO now. And they will be. They
You'll
will.
get something in the mail, man.
Oh, but everything's okay?
Yes.
From our standpoint, yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Good night now.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Bye.
Next application is number 648-20, Cynthia Marie Berger McGee and Julie A. McGee. Permission to install above-ground pool, leaving a front yard through lot of 14 feet instead of required 40 feet, and to leave roofed-over patio having side yard of 1.6 feet instead of required 14 feet. Residence A District, south side of Keim Avenue, number 542, 602 feet west of Watts Place, West Islip, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes.
Yes, good evening, Gennaro Cozzolino for the applicant, Cynthia and Julie McGee.
Good evening.
How's everybody doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Good, thank you.
Good. Gennaro Cozzolino, 2125 Deer Park Avenue, Deer Park, New York, 11729.
You're putting a proposed pool, above-ground pool on a through lot that backs up to the Southern State Parkway.
Correct.
It's outrageous.
And you have a roof over patio having a side yard of 1.6 instead of 14.
Well, actually, Mr. Chairman, it's actually 3 feet. I think they measured to the wrong line. I scaled it again. It's 3 feet from the property line, not 1.6 feet.
Okay, so we'd like to amend the call of the meeting to reflect.
Please.
Make a motion to amend the call of the meeting to state and to leave roofed over patio having side yard of 3 feet instead of required 14.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so it's still 3 feet instead of required 14. Do you have any?
Well, the roof over's been there for many years without any complaints from any of the neighbors. Should the board be inclined to approve the variance, we would agree to condition that it never be enclosed.
Is there any precedence in the area for a roofed over patio that close to the property line?
I asked Deirdre today, we spoke, that there's no precedence in the area, even though the homeowners have seen other structures similar to theirs in the area.
What is the closest that we have?
I believe the closest that there was around 10 or 11 feet for a side yard.
So,
Yeah, it's a little too close, Mr. Cozzolino, and if we see them a lot in the surrounding neighborhoods, and if we approve this on you, we're gonna have to prove it.
Yeah,
on
I understand, Mr. Chairman.
So, does the board want to give him a number? 10 feet?
Whatever the largest grant we've given in the past, I guess he's entitled to.
Yeah, Deirdre, do you know off the top of your, or in your notes, what you said 10 or 11, is it?
Yeah, I didn't write down exactly what it was. I wrote roundabouts what it was, but I can find out what it is and let the board know.
All right, I'd ask that we reserve that, Mr. Chairman, until we know that number, and then we can make a very quick decision.
Sure.
All right,
You
that
okay with
makes-
that, Mr. Cozzolino?
I agree.
Yep.
All right.
Very good, thank you.
Deirdre, if you can get back to us as soon as you can, that'd be great.
No problem.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Geez. Motion.
I'll make a motion to reserve decision.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You'll be hearing from us soon, Mr. Cozzolino. You know the drill.
I do, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You
Right,
too. Next application is number 649-20, Amy Rose Lipsky, permission to erect two-story dwelling on a lot having an area of 17,095.9 square feet instead of required 20,000 square feet. Residence AA District, north side of Middle Road, number 637, 183.51 feet west of Ocean Avenue in Bayport. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
She's here.
I'm sorry?
She's here.
Okay.
Her design professional is not though, but I think she'll do a fine job on her own.
I think, yeah, well,
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, we're design professional.
Here we go. I'm here.
All
I'm
right.
here.
You both came in as Amy Lipsky.
Here we go. I
Let me-
look like Amy.
I will rename you now.
Sir, you're the second best Amy Lipsky that there is in this room.
There we go. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm here representing Amy Lipsky on the subject property. And basically what we're looking to do is construct a dwelling on a non-conforming lot in terms of the lot area.
So that's the only variance you need, right? Everything else you're going to comply
Yes,
with.
That is correct. We will
And it was a
comply
house-
with all other
it was a house
aspects
on
of the
this
zoning
property,
ordinance.
Right. Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
There was a house on this property? back in-
Yes, about a year and a half ago, there was a home on there, had been there for quite some time. Most of the homes in the area date back, quite honestly, to the late 1800s and early 1900s.
Know it well.
So, pardon?
I know it well.
So, yes, it was demolished and my client purchased the property with the intent of someday building a single-family dwelling for her and her family, future family.
Great. Does anyone wish to be, Deirdre, I'm assuming there's no objection from planning, correct?
No objections.
Okay, great. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan will take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
Well, thank you very much. Have a great evening. Appreciate it.
Next application, number 650-20, Matthew and Stephanie Lombardo, permission to erect attached garage 24 feet by 24 feet, leaving a side yard and rear yards of 4 feet instead of required 10 feet each. Residence B District, south side of Hemlock Street, number 34, 525 feet west of Ferndale Boulevard, Islip, New York. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
They are here.
All righty then.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
How are you? I'm Thomas Bloor, the architect for the applicant, 60 Carlton Avenue, Suite 202, Islip Terrace, New York.
How are you doing?
I think you need to repeat that. You froze on me. I don't know if our reporter heard that or not.
Okay.
I got
Thomas Bloor.
Oh, you got it? Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it did, but I caught it. Thank you.
Okay.
No problem. All right, so the intent of this application is to construct a new detached garage, replacing the existing dilapidated detached garage. There's an existing garage there currently. It has a side yard and a rear yard setback of 2 feet. Unfortunately, the garage is in very poor condition. We had first looked at just expanding on the garage or rebuilding it, but it doesn't make any sense. It's honestly in really poor condition. What we're proposing is a new 2-car detached garage, 570 square feet, with a side yard and a rear yard 2 feet further away than the existing garage of 4 feet on the side and the rear. The new garage is 76 square feet over what's allowable without a variance. And the idea in the 24 is the client does have a pickup truck. So to be able to accommodate the pickup truck, some lawn furniture, etc., his wish is to have a garage that size.
Well, why can't you comply? That we have a code, unless
So-
there's sufficient precedent. A pickup truck isn't really good zoning rationale. Since
So-
you want to be 4 instead of 10.
Due to the site conditions, we can't move the garage to be 10 feet away. It would be in the middle of the deck that's in the backyard.
So you may have to
There's no-
build a garage that complies.
Right. I mean, there's minor precedents of garages slightly over 500 square feet that have been approved. It's, we're not asking for any other variances with the heights and things like that. And again, the existing garage sits at 2 feet. And I've seen the board and I have precedents of the board,
What do we have as
approving.
precedent? I'm sorry, what do we have as precedent as square footage that is 4 feet?
I have one that's 600 square feet. However, it was done due to the conditions. It is not within 500 feet, and there's also precedent of existing garages being expanded, maintaining that setback, which we really didn't want to do at 2 feet. That's even more obnoxious to the two neighbors.
So let's kick out the first one because it's not within 500, so it's not precedent. The second one, could you just run that by us, please?
In other words, there's precedent, there's nothing within 500, but there's precedent of the board approving expanding existing garages that
Is it
hold.
within 500 or no?
No.
Then we don't have precedent. I mean, that's what precedent is. It falls within our ambit or guideline.
There's a few other, as you know, reasons and options we have to look at too, not just precedent, but he does have a good point there. They could build this garage under 500 square feet and be 2 and 2. They're moving it and they're a little bit over on that. They're moving it a little bit further away from both the rear and the side property line.
Which is consistent with the theory behind setbacks, right? The bigger it is, the more you want it set back. So they're actually, doing the right thing vis-a-vis the spirit of the ordinance, if you will.
Yep. I'm not sure the 70 square feet is really weighing on my mind that they're over on that, but that's just my opinion. I don't know what the rest of the board, I don't know if you want to reserve and we can discuss it as a board. It's up to the board members.
I just have concern. I think we should reserve. I mean, if we want to go that direction, fine, but we have an otherwise conforming neighborhood. We have to determine where do we go from there. So I think it'd be wise to reserve.
I'll defer to Mr. Wexler on that. I'll when
What
the
does
time
Deirdre-
comes for a motion.
What does Deirdre think?
Well, the garage before was under 500, so they would have needed 2. They would have, I guess, then gotten 2 instead of 4. So now with 4 instead of 10, it seems a little bit more drastic to me, at least. I'd be more comfortable with at least maybe like a side yard of 6 feet, just to get it farther away, just because it is.
Just the side yard of 6 or side and rear?
Both would be great, but side yard I think might be a bit more of an impact, but I don't know if they can move it 2 feet forward either with the stairs for the decking.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's, the
Well,
existing deck.
Then you shrink the size of the garage. That's the real answer.
Are you just, let me ask this one quick question before we go any further. Are your clients willing to shrink it 70 square feet and you don't even need us, or would you like us to reserve and discuss this? And
I think the best option would be to shrink the width by 2 feet. We'd simply be asking for the garage to be 1.5 feet deeper than is allowed.
Is that
So I'd be willing to amend the application to be a 22 by 24 foot deep garage, which is 28 square feet over what's allowed.
What is behind the garage, Mr. Bloor? What property?
Another residential property.
We don't have an aerial.
I do.
Yeah, we do. It's up on the screen.
So which is, I'm sorry, which is the subject house?
This is the subject house to the north,
Mhm.
and then so this is the house to the south.
Yeah, so it looks like you have a pool very close to the rear property line. Is that a pool?
Yeah, it looks like it.
don't forget that the existing garage is 2 and 2.
Correct.
Is the board okay with the 28 square feet over to 500?
I'm fine with that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
I'm okay with that too.
Does anyone wish to be heard this application?
Just me.
Just
Tom,
you.
Tom, be careful on the siding.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, you know what happens, right?
Yep.
Tom's office did an extensive FOIL research into prior approvals of detached garages, and I'm happy to say I wasn't able to come up with anything too much to help you with tonight's case, but a couple of the approvals that the board did do.
We just heard that like a week or two, 2
Correct.
weeks ago, right?
Come out at like 505 square feet, and the applicants are just bewildered, and they tell us something happened after we sided the garage.
There you go.
Right.
So just before,
Get your inspection before you put the siding up is the real answer.
before we sign off, that's the proposal is going to be erecting a garage 526 square feet, which will enjoy a how many feet setback on the easterly side?
It would be 528 square feet. It would be 22 wide and 24 deep with a 4 foot setback to the side yard and a 4 foot setback to the rear yard.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application? Board of any questions? Mr. Wex, I'll take a motion.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we grant the amended application wherein the garage will be no greater than 528 square feet with both a 4-foot setback on the easterly side and the southerly side of the property. So the side yard and the rear yard.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Next
everyone.
application, number 651-20, Betty J. Frick Revocable Trust, permission to extend the less restrictive district into a more restrictive district pursuant to Islip Code Section 68-415B, and to leave one-story addition having a side yard of 0.16 feet instead of required 14 feet pursuant to Islip Code Section 68-281B, Business 1 District, northeast corner of Rosevale Avenue, number 544, and Laurel Boulevard, Ronkonkoma. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes, good evening. Steve Bertolino, 130 West Main Street, East Islip, New York. Can you hear me?
We sure can. Mr. Loud and clear, too.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm fairly new at this, but if I've listened closely tonight, I've learned a couple of things. I'm going to trade in my Ford Raptor and get a horse named Samson. I'm going to lose my audio. By the way, the Ford Raptor is a pickup truck. I'm
Mr.
gonna lose my
Bertolino, if you're going to lose your
out
audio,
of my head.
do it now before you hurt yourself any further.
And I've got a small ruler for the lot line at 0.16 that I need. So this particular property, as you know, or should know, has a CO from 1962 for the building. I don't know when or how, but apparently the initial building was expanded. My client informs me that it was expanded sometime in the 70s. The current owner, her father built the building as Fricky Memorials. It's no longer used for that purpose. It's now an office / retail outlet for some U-Haul trailers. That occupancy or use is going to go by the wayside. But with respect to the setbacks, yes, the building is on the lot line. It appears that it's about a 900 square foot building. It appears that approximately 300 square feet of the building was added sometime after the 1962 certificate of occupancy. The building on the north lot line adjoins an automotive service repair shop that seems to park vehicles and cars waiting to be repaired in a dirt lot. We're going to be removing the asphalt and the parking on the west side that is now sitting within the residential buffer. So if the board saw fit to grant this application, we would be providing a 25-foot buffer, as you can see on the site plan in front of you, to the west, where you do have some residences. To the north, that automotive repair shop has the same issue. It's a split zone, and we mirror their lot. In other words, we are not encroaching on the north to any residential use. We only have the residential use in the house on the west side, and that's where we will have the 25-foot buffer.
And
So-
what is it you're going to use it for?
It's technically it's an office, but apparently the current tenant is using it as a retail type store.
No, but what is your proposed use? Office use?
Yes, office use. The same, any use in a B1 that we can.
Okay, so, all right, I see. You don't want to restrict yourself. You want whatever is permitted in B1. I got it.
Right, but I think the board should know what
It's not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable. That's fine.
Do we know what the setback was at some point in time before they moved it to the property line? I mean, it wasn't built on the property line, was it?
No, apparently it was built on the property line is what I'm told. The reason we're here.
I know, but what proof do we have that it was existing on the property line?
I'll tell you, Mr. Wexler, that's right across from Ronkonkoma Beach, that recreation facility over there. I have been down there hundreds of times since I was old enough to drive, so 16 years old. And I can tell you that's been there for a very, very, very long time in its current form. Like Mr. Bertolino said, it was a Frick Memorials. I I've
I'm just-
unfortunately even visited there on the site, you know.
Built without benefit of permit, even if it was a long time ago, what's the rationale?
Well, I thought your question was, how long has it been there? And that was all I meant to answer, not whether or not it was built, but without.
It's right on the property line.
Yeah, I get that.
That's quite a
I'm just discussing the length of time that the condition has existed.
I mean, that's like a 98% relaxation.
It's up against another B1 auto shop.
Right.
Fairly know that where it's up against. I know there's property also.
Yes, it is. And as Mr. Wex was inquiring, it is my understanding that it was built on the lot line in 1962 and the building was CO'd. Apparently there was an expansion of the building and that is the issue. And I don't know,
But the
how or
expansion
why.
wasn't what was on the lot line.
No, it is. It looks like they maintained it to some degree. And I have to admit, I don't know where the delineation is exactly. If you look on the right side of the site plan you have in front of you, it appears that it's approximately less than 300 square feet of the building. So on the,
I'm
you can
sorry.
see this-
I understand what you're saying, but don't we need to review all of this so we're not kind of guessing where it was built and what was added on? I mean, it may be de minimis and it may not be. We don't have anything in front of us. I just have a survey.
I mean, that's one of the problems with the remote hearings is that we can't share the file. Mr. Chairman, is there anything in
I don't have the.
Oh, Ms. Pissarro, do you have anything?
Isn't there a site plan there?
No. That's not what Mr. Wexler is
Well,
asking, though.
Mr. Wexler, the oldest survey I have is a 2001 survey, which does show that, the building in that same position, which is, approximately 20 years ago. But we're talking 1962. I don't know if we could foil the town records, if we'd even come up with a survey from back then.
Why don't we do this? I mean, we can look at aerials. I think we all want to make an intelligent decision here, and it may be grantable, it may be less than grantable, but without anything, I feel a little remiss to just say yes or no. I don't want to do anything prejudicial to your client.
No, understood. And certainly, if I have to hit the 5 points, this property and this particular building has been there since 1962. We're not going to be changing the nature and character of the area.
I don't know if it was built legally in 1962. If it was built illegally without permit,
It's CO'd. It's CO'd from 1962.
I don't have a CO. I don't have anything in front of me.
I have a CRF.
And what was
1962.
I think we need to take a look at some aerials. If it was CO'd where it is in 1962, that close, and the addition was put elsewhere, I don't have a problem with that. If it was CO'd in 62 and the additions were built to put it onto the property line, to me, that's problematic. I just don't know. I think we need some aerials.
Understood. And just so we're clear for tonight, the building was expanded, linearly on the lot line. So my understanding is it did exist on the lot line in 1962 when it was CO'd, and the expansion was to the west, as you can see from the right drawing that's up on the screen. And that my computation there was, plus or minus 300 square feet, which is, probably about a third of the building, and they kept it in line. That's my understanding of it.
Okay.
All right, and just so the record is clear, you're actually improving the condition on the side of the property that abuts residential development, right? With the buffer that you discussed?
That is correct, Mr. Messina. And, for years, and I'm talking decades, we have encroached onto a buffer because perhaps there wasn't a need for a buffer or a requirement of a buffer back in 1962. So yes, we will be improving upon the encroachment, if you will, into that neighboring residential area.
Okay, I just have a question. You mentioned that the U-Haul trucks are going to go by the wayside. I imagine this all kind of started because of the presence of the U-Haul trucks. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit?
Ms. Pissarro, I do not know that for sure. As I said, I don't know how this came about. It's been there so long. I don't know, what prompted it. What I do know is that my client is not happy with the tenant, but unfortunately our intelligent governor saw fit to put a moratorium on evictions. So my client's hands are tied at the moment, so we cannot do too much. to get rid of that tenant. But I can assure you, when the governor sees fit to let loose on deadbeat tenants, this tenant will go by the wayside.
Okay, because obviously, just so the board is aware, outside storage of registered vehicles is not something that's permitted as
In
of right.
business district,
within
right?
a law.
And the applicant is well aware of that. You know, whether or not we have recourse right now with the tenant is a different issue.
Now, listen, if you're a landlord now, you're in a horrible position. So, agreed. Agreed. All right.
Mr. Chairman, why don't we reserve decision so we can study it and move from there?
Absolutely.
One quick question I'd like to ask, if you don't mind. Deirdre, is there a way to see aerials on the computer you could share with us?
I can try and pull up an aerial. I just need a few minutes, if that's okay.
No, we can reserve. I thought maybe it was at your fingertips and you could pop them up and we could look back.
I could find the link for it, but then it's just then typing everything. It's just a few minutes, but if you want to wait, but I could submit them after.
Reserve so we can move on and we'll study it. And it's not going to be lengthy. I mean, it may be a minor application.
And if it shows what we think, what we all believe it may show, the fact is that we can render a decision very quickly on this.
Okay, Mr. Bertolino, we reserve, we have 62 days, so we're going to take a vote right here. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we reserve decision.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We will be in touch as soon as possible, Mr. Bertolino.
Yeah, I gotta go feed my horse. Have a good night. Thank you.
It's not like that here.
Mr. Bertolino, if only you could afford to own and feed a horse. Believe me, I had a law partner once that owned 2 of them. It's no small undertaking.
When I was a kid, I was a farrier, so I'm very much
Oh, all
aware.
right. So there you go. You know better than me.
It's all good. Enjoy your evening. Thank you.
You too, sir. Next
Horses are
application.
cheap. Own 2 kids and see what happens.
Especially boys, I'm sure. Next application, number 591-20, Pavlo Tupacek. Permission to erect a 2-story dwelling on a lot not having a required width of 75 feet throughout, having a lot area of 7,510 square feet instead of required 11,250 square feet, leaving a floor area ratio of 39.8% instead of permitted 25%, and a first floor elevation of 14.2 feet instead of permitted 11 feet. Residence A District, south side of Sequams Lane Center, number 258, 1,496.7 feet south of Park Place, West Islip. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
He's here. We have the applicant and we have a design professional.
Wonderful.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Pavlo's architect. I'm going to let him speak. He desires to represent himself, I believe. So,
Hey, good evening, guys. Sorry, it cut out for a second. Hello?
Hello, name and address for the record, please.
Pavlo Tupacek, 34 Stewart Avenue, Babylon, New York, 11702.
How are you tonight, sir?
Good, how are you guys?
You adjourned from October, so please refresh our memory.
Yes, so we were requesting for an elevation of 14.2. And we're looking to eliminate that height elevation completely. And we requested an FAR of 39.8. We've made some changes.
What do you mean by eliminate the height completely?
Not requesting the elevation.
He wants to withdraw that portion of the application.
Okay.
This is Pavlo's architect, 150 North Delaware, Lyndhurst, New York.
Guys, one quick second. We got to speak one at a time because
Oh, so maybe the architect, my architect could explain it better if that's easy.
One at a time, and then we can move forward. So go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Let me clarify this, make it easier for everybody here. So we're in VE7 flood zone. You guys are giving us 4-foot freeboard. So, we're supposed to be 11 feet to the bottom of the lowest structural member. Previously, we're asking for 14'2". We're going to go ahead and bring that down to the 11.
All right, so hold on one second. Would you like to amend the call of the meeting to remove the first floor elevation?
Yeah, so we turned in some updated documents.
That's just a question. Would you like to amend the call of the meeting to remove that or no?
Yeah, that'll be removed. There's no
Okay,
request.
I
for
make a
variance
motion
for
to
height.
amend the call of the meeting to remove end first floor elevation of 14.2 instead of permitted 11 feet.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay, the second variance that we were requesting was formerly a 39% variance. We did a lot of research, looked at the community. I found a lot of large houses, but they were on large lots. So we took into consideration that the zoning calls for a 10,000 square foot lot. You'd like to see it 25% FAR, that's a 2,500 square foot house. So we're respectfully coming in at a 2,515 square foot, which turns into a 33% or 0.33 FAR. That's our new requested variance.
Hey, did you have any precedence for 33.3% in the area?
Pablo, what did we come up with there? Pablo had a couple of things. We pulled some foils and we had a couple of properties.
So we have address 136 Seagram's Lane Center at 39.7% FAR. That is one house down from us, sorry, two houses down from us. And then we have 249 Seagram's Lane Center. That's next door neighbor at 40.2% FAR.
Are those legacy? Are those grants?
They were not grants by the board.
Yeah.
Those were discovered by foiling records of the building department, and that is the architect and the applicant's interpretation of what the FAR actually is.
Oh.
Do we know what the FAR actually is, Ms. Pissarro? Or what is it that the building department
They
maintains?
didn't seek variances, so.
We have the neighbors at 249 Seagram's Lane Center. It's highlighted on the paperwork that we presented. It clearly
Let me
notes
just
floor
ask you-
area 42.
Let me ask you a question. I don't mean to interrupt you. We either have precedent from the ZBA or we don't. So let's establish it so the record's clear.
So
We have no precedent.
That's correct.
So what's existing, it has to be legacy. You can't build a 40% or 34% without the zoning board.
Or it isn't 40% or 34%. The calculation is different. Right.
This is, once again.
So our last-
Wait. We can't go on, this is what we believe. We meaning you, the applicant. This is what our that doesn't help us any. That's not how a government functions. We need to know specifically, since we know there was no grant, how did it get there? What is the actual size for us to intelligently consider it?
Maybe the architect can enlighten us with those questions, Mr. Wexler. He is, I'm assuming I can't see him at this moment, but he's so.
Yeah, I mean, I did the best I could based on the information we received off foils. I assumed that most properties were 1.5 story, and I did find about 32 to 35% variances. Pablo has the paperwork on that, but they were right in this cul-de-sac. I mean, we're really not asking for anything out of character here.
How did they get there? They can't be over 25% unless.
Well, his neighbors have very small lots, and they have houses that are about 2,000 square
I
feet.
know, but listen to me. There's two ways a house can get greater. Either a grant or it's legacy, or it's there illegally. So 3 ways. We need to know. And you don't have the we don't have the answer as we sit here.
Mr. Wexler, it's, you're correct on all of that, and it's the applicant's burden, and he's putting forth his proof, and we're going to determine whether or not it's sufficient. That's all.
And according to our last hearing, so you guys encouraged me to take a adjournment to find out more information. We put in as much foil as we could.
Sure.
And I did ask, we did look at the aerial.
If I remember correctly, we also asked you to meet with planning. Have you done that with Deirdre?
I tried to, but I'm not allowed to meet with planning. I did call in to Deirdre. I spoke to Mary a few times, but we're not. They stated that they could not meet in person, only over the phone, and all foils that we.
That's not what I said at all, Pablo. That's not what I said at all. I encouraged you to have your architect submit revisions to Deirdre in planning. the board asked you no less than 15 times in your last hearing to confer with Deirdre Ryan from planning. Deirdre unfortunately wasn't able to be with us that night, but they spelled her name and gave you her phone number.
Yes, that's
Several
correct. And I did call into Deirdre, but I wasn't able to meet Deirdre to answer the question. I was able to communicate with her through the phone
I
or
think we
email.
should follow Mr. Messina's guidance and let the applicants finish their application, and then we'll decide.
Okay.
So, and then my question was at the first hearing, what would you guys counter or accept as far as?
It isn't let's make a deal, sir.
Well, you mentioned
I
to me they
suggest
do it.
you finish your application, and we'll make a decision. We're all ears.
Okay, so what you guys suggested was that you
Just
would
stop
allow.
with what we suggested. Put forward your case. Tell us what you have, and we'll make a decision.
So we're asking for 33%. I know you guys allowed in the past 31%, and that's what you said you would approve before.
And where did we allow 31%?
My next door neighbor at 256.
Okay, and you're relying on whatever it is you submitted to establish that, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Deirdre, do we have 31% with the next door neighbor? I don't remember.
I have the case written down. I'm not sure if it's the next door neighbor, but there is a case with 31% was granted.
Right.
And what was the size of the property? Do we know?
I'm not too sure, but I can find out.
No, it's a ratio though, so.
Ratio, yeah. So, sir, are you willing to take 31% if the board sees fit?
Yes.
I'm reading the decision right now, and it's, they originally asked for 41.2%. The case was adjourned, not surprisingly. They came back and amended the application, having side yard setbacks and also a floor area ratio of 30.9%.
Okay, so 30.9%. So the
application was granted as amended.
All right, so the applicant has shown good faith by doing some research and removing part of the prior adjourned application with regard to the first floor elevation. If we can discuss and take a vote and see if the applicant will take 30.9% as the precedent that he has from his next door neighbor.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to find out what the size of this is an undersized lot. It looks like it's almost about, I'm guessing 25%. I don't know what the size.
But that's what's driving up the FAR, the fact that it's the undersized lot. Remember, it's a ratio, right? So the bigger the lot, the more building you can have on it. The smaller the lot, the less. The ratio is the ratio regardless of size of lot.
Yep.
So I believe my next door neighbor is about 11,000 square feet. And
okay.
So that puts him at about 3,800 square feet. We're asking for about 2,400 square feet to be built on the property.
Mr. Wexler, you okay with the 30.9% if the applicant sees fit?
I would like to reserve because I'd like to look at the one precedent just so we know what we're comparing it to.
We could do that, but we're talking 0.9%.
I know, but you asked me if I was okay with it.
The applicant has come back and shown good faith and.
It's not good faith. It's not an issue of good faith. It's zoning. It's not.
I understand that, but he has a precedent of 30.9%, right?
You asked me what my thoughts were, and I tell you what my thoughts were. You don't want to follow it? I'm only one vote. I said we should reserve. That's what you asked me.
Okay, does anyone wish to bring up this application?
If you don't mind, I'm going to try something. We have a West Islip person who does like to be heard on applications, and I tried to chat with him. I know he's done this before, so John, can you hear us? John? No. Okay, we have John Davis, who typically only comments on Willets Point Civic Association matters, but I thought maybe he might want to be heard on this one. If you reserve decision, would you accept comment from him after closure? Oh, there he is. Hi, John. John, turn your microphone on. There we go.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just listening. I wasn't planning on speaking.
Okay.
I was interested in the case for two reasons. One of them you already dealt with. But as far as FAR, on our side of the creek, Willis Point side, we've had them up slightly over 31%. So in Willis Point, an application of 31% would not be unusual. And we have generally, most of our lots here are the required size of 11,250 in A zones, as residential A zone. So once in a while, we do have to deal with a peculiar sized lot like this. But as far as FAR, 31% has been done several times in Willis Point. I don't know if that helps you.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Can I ask a question? What is the sentiment of the board? I mean,
I'm fine with 30.9% and for the FAR.
Vinny?
I'm uncertain. I'll follow the chairman on this. 30.9%.
Well, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. 30.9% too.
Then I'm okay with it too.
All right.
Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application? So to be clear, Mr. Wexler, we're not reserving, or I'll follow your lead if you'd like to reserve and discuss it.
No, since everybody feels comfortable with it, and I try to be very democratic sometimes, then I'm good with it.
Sometimes.
At 30.31%.
30.9%.
30.9%.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. You
Everyone
understand
for your
that?
time.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. Have a
Next
good-
application, number 652-20, Alex and Donna C. Ludemer. Permission to erect entrance platform with stairs, leaving a front yard of 6.7 feet instead of required 15 feet, to reconstruct roof over with a pergola, leaving a front yard of 15.7 feet instead of required 25 feet, to reconstruct and elevate decking, leaving front yard of 15.7 feet instead of required 25 feet, and a side yard of 12.7 feet instead of the required 15 feet, to erect a shed 12 feet by 18 feet, leaving a front yard of 42.3 feet instead of the required 60 feet, and a side yard of 6.7 feet instead of required 10 feet, all having a floor area ratio of 37.34% instead of permitted 30%. Residence BAA District, west side of Sandpiper Walk, 192 feet south of Central Walk in Dunewood. Is there anyone here for the applicant?
Yes.
Good evening, members of the board. Jeff Butler, can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes, hi, sir.
Jeff Butler, I'm a professional engineer, offices at 206 Lincoln Street, Riverhead. I'm here on behalf of the applicants, Don and Alex Ludmere, the owners of 50 Sandpiper Walk.
Great.
In July of this year, their house had a fire, and we were hired to come in and do the plans for rebuilding the house. In doing our work, determine how the repair gets classified within the New York State Residential Building Code. In order to generate a permit for the repair, it became apparent that the house suffered substantial structural damage as defined within the code. And as such, section R 322.1 gets triggered, which is the requirement that the house become flood compliant as part of the repair. Currently, the house is not flood compliant, and the FAR is sitting at 25.67%. The decks are not within that FAR calculation because the house sits, the way it sits today, the decks are less than 5 feet to grade. When the house gets lifted and the decks remain the same size, the FAR goes above the code max of 30%, because they become greater than 5 feet. And get counted in the FAR. In addition, this home was previously granted a variance for the front deck and pergola above it back in 2015. And because the house requires a lift, these same variances need to be re-granted for the same dimensional setbacks. They're going to go back in the exact same spot. The house is just getting lifted within the footprint that it's in. The other variance, the two other variances that you read off, one was the requirement for the wood platform that interrupts the stairs to the front deck from Sandpiper Walk, which is just a way to break the long set of stairs up to the now flood compliant house. And the last variance is for the shed, which there is a shed there now with the same front yard setback. But this says shed that's proposed is getting rebuilt. This is actually where the fire started. That shed is being expanded to the south property line and made slightly larger to accommodate some additional storage for the applicant. The goal here is to make the repair like in kind other than the shed, which is going to increase by 102 square feet. I would also
It's
like
also
to-
going right on the property line then too, right?
The shed?
Yeah.
No, the shed is going, will be 6.7 feet off that south property line.
Instead of 10. I see. Okay.
Instead of 10,
I
correct.
gotcha. Yep. Thank you. I'm
Um,
sorry.
Deirdre, can you share the plot plan? Thank you.
We have it in our packet,
Maybe I'm doing it for me.
perhaps.
I would like to also point out to the board that the things you see in the rear yard are a new sanitary system, which is an IA system that Suffolk County now allows and works great in these areas of high groundwater. Those will be below grade. Those are sanitary leaching fields, geomats they're called. And then the IA system in the back. So those are not, they look like they're crowding the backyard with structures, but those are below, that's the sanitary system.
So really what we're saying here is that this is all necessitated. You more or less have the same thing you had before, except it's lifted up in the air. So you need some relief for the break on the stairway, so to speak, the platform on the stairway, and you need relief for a shed, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Deirdre, any objection from planning or anything planning would like to say? Go ahead.
No objections. There's precedent for pretty much everything except the stairs in the front, but they need the stairs now that it's being lifted, so no objections.
Great. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions? Mr. Wexler, I'll take a motion.
Yes, thank you. I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
Thank you for your efficiency.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are efficient.
Are we efficient?
We're official. I don't know if we're efficient.
I've never been called efficient. I resent that.
We
We have a few to read in. Mary-
Yeah, we do.
2 second
Hold on.
calls.
I'm sorry?
We had those 2-second calls.
Oh, yes, we do have 2-second calls. Is there anyone here on number 643-20? No response. Is there anyone here on 640-20? Let the record reflect there's no response. Thank you, Natasha.
Okay, so
I have the cheat sheet
I
in
did,
front
I
of me,
did
Ms.
send you guys a
Casara.
cheat sheet. I know it's hard because you don't have two devices, so you can't like read one and also Zoom at the same time.
I'm switching windows on my computer, so.
One of the cases is in Holbrook, one is in Central Islip, and two are in Bay Shore. So in light of the fact that Mr. Nicolia is not here to make the motion on the Bay Shores, and because Vinny, you will make the motion on the Holbrook, I did the whole cheat sheet with
All right.
Mr. Messina making the motions.
Does anyone have any questions on these, or are
Does
we all
everyone-
okay?
I can read them.
I mean, Mary, was it all, we all were in agreement?
Yes, these were discussed, some of them a little animated, but you arrived at all these. The first one was a family use only that converted to an accessory apartment. And we debated a bit the 919 square foot overage, but the board arrived at the fact that once it was a legal family use only renewed here for several times by the prior owners, that you made a decision that the accessory apartment owner can carry that size forward. It's a new owner of the property. And again, it was 919 square feet. So obviously that would be for a period of 3 years. And the ones after that were grants. I think you'll remember the Holbrook, the 2 driveways, but it was a very substandard road in the map of Russell Realty, and the applicant explained that there's absolutely no on-street parking available. So there was some sympathy toward that. Regina Estrada was debated. I'm going to say that was debated at the hearing. It was a side yard of 6 instead of 14, but it was only at one point on a pie-shaped property for a one-story addition. And that was quite a while ago. These were some of our earlier Zoom hearings that we're just getting to now. And then the last was permission to reconstruct a 5-family dwelling, also debated quite a bit, thus the reserve. The house was, you'll remember the word gutted. And the building department felt more comfortable having the Board of Appeals hear it to allow it to complete its reconstruction. Is that familiar to you guys?
Yep.
That one is. The others aren't, but
Oh, no?
if you say we were unanimous in our approval.
You were, you
all
were.
right, I'm good.
After discussion, I want to be honest, but these were the answers. If you don't want to make the second, Bill, that's fine.
I don't remember them other than the 5-family, which I think we came to the consensus that, yes, it was doable. I think.
Yeah. And the double driveway was, the map of Russell Realty is in Holbrook. Benny, I don't know if you want to help with that. The streets actually only have 20-foot right-of-ways.
Yep.
So you can't park a car on the street. So
That's correct. That was our rationale for that. That's right.
Yep. And
So,
Yep. And then Regina Estrada was a one-story addition to a dwelling, like I said, on a pie-shaped lot. The 6-foot was only at the very closest point.
right. Okay. So, that all being said, I will make a motion that in accordance with written decisions dated November 10th, 2020, that with respect to applications number 164-20, 362-20, 397-20, and 424-20, that these applications be granted. The only proviso being that number 164-20 is for a period of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We also have just 6 accessory apartment renewals for a period of 3 years.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Tom, we're done with the live stream.
Motion to adjourn.
Can we stay on Zoom for a second?
Favor?